Let's crochet a poppy. Hi there, I'm Cilla from Cilla Crochets, and I'm here to cheer you on throughout your crochet journey, no matter what stage you're at. In this crochet tutorial, you'll learn how to make a poppy, just like this one here. With Remembrance Day fast approaching, I thought this would be a good crochet project for us all to make together. Now, there are loads of things you can do with this little poppy. You could put a hair clip or a bobby pin in the back and turn it into a little hair accessory. You could put a safety pin into it and pin it to your clothing like a little brooch. You could also turn it into a lovely garland to hang around the home. So you could just make lots of them, however many you would like, and a long crochet chain and sew them to the crochet chain, and then that can be a decorative item around the house. You could also use it as an embellishment on an item of clothing or an amigurumi. So for example, you could sew them onto a pair of jeans to make them a little bit more exciting, especially if you've got any holes in clothes. There's an idea. Another thing to mention is don't forget you can always change the colour. It doesn't have to be a poppy, it could be a purple flower if that's what you wanted. Remember, this is just a crochet pattern to give you ideas, inspiration, so use the colours you want and make it your own. Enough chat from me, let's dive into the crochet pattern. To crochet your poppy, you will need some red and black worsted weight yarn. I am also using a 4mm or G crochet hook for this pattern. You'll also need some scissors, a tapestry needle, and a stitch marker, and that is all you need. And I will say you do not need this much yarn. It only requires a very small amount of yarn to crochet this little poppy here. Now, this is an easy pattern, but we use quite a number of different stitches in it that are all fairly basic, but you will need a little bit of crochet experience to make the poppy. In this pattern, I'll be using US terminology, but I've just put up here the names of the stitches in US terms and in UK terms, just in case you're used to the UK terminology, but you'd still like to make this pattern. So I hope it's fairly easy for you to translate. Now, don't forget you will find the written crochet pattern for this little poppy on my blog. The link is in the description below. I've also listed some recommended materials there, so if you would like to check that out, just scroll down and expand that description. You will also find some chapter links, so if you want to skip to certain parts of the pattern, make sure you go and check that description. So we're going to start with some black yarn, and we're going to make a magic circle with 8 single crochets in the magic circle. Now, once you've crocheted the stitches into your magic circle, just make sure you've got 8. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then pull the yarn tail to close your magic circle. In this part, we're not going to close the magic circle, and there is a reason for that, which I'll explain at the end. But for now, cut your yarn tail and simply fasten off at this point. Okay, now we're going to attach our red yarn to any stitch. It really does not matter what stitch you choose to use, but we just need to attach our red yarn to one of these black stitches. So I'm going to do that now. And to attach it, I'm just going to basically crochet a chain around there, and that's the yarn attached nicely. From here, we're going to start our flower combination. So you'll notice each petal has a number of stitches in it, and all we are doing is crocheting a combination of stitches, it's 4 stitches, in one of the black single crochets. Then when we move on, we crochet the mirror image of those 4 stitches. So each petal is simply crocheted into 2 of the black stitches below. So let's get started with that. This is where it gets a little bit tight and a little bit complicated, but the stitches are all pretty straightforward. So we start with a single crochet in the same stitch that we attached the yarn to. Then we go up to a half double crochet. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over again, pull through, yarn over, and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. Then we go to a double crochet. So we've got just pulling through the first 2 loops of our hook this time. And now we go on to a treble crochet. So that is yarning over twice, inserting our hook, yarning over, pulling through, yarning over, going through the first 2 loops on our hook, yarning over again, the next 2 loops on our hook, then yarning over again to the next 2 loops. So that is our first stitch combination in the first stitch of the black yarn that we've crocheted into. Now we're going to do the mirror image of those stitches into the next black stitch. So we're going to start with a treble. So yarn over twice, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through the first 2 stitches on your hook, yarn over again, pull through those 2 stitches, yarn over, and then pull through the remaining 2 stitches on your hook. Now we'll do a double crochet. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over again, pull through the 2 stitches on your hook, yarn over and pull through the final 2 stitches. Now we'll do the half double. So yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, and then pull through all 3 loops on your hook. And then for the final stitch in the little pattern that we're doing to create each of the petals, we're just going to do a single crochet. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through both stitches. And that is our first little petal created. So the reason why we crocheted 8 in our magic circle is because each petal takes up 2 of the stitches in the black magic circle. So it's 8 in total. So let's just go ahead and crochet our next petal. I'll do this again with you. So insert your hook. We're doing a single crochet first. Then we're doing a half double. Then we're doing a double. This is all into the same stitch, don't forget. So then we're doing a treble into the same stitch. Sometimes those ones can be a little bit pesky, depending on your yarn. Now I'm going into the next stitch to do the mirror image of those stitches. So we start with the treble into the next stitch. We go down to the double. We then go to a half double. And then we end with a single in the same stitch. Okay, so that is 2 petals done. There we go. So now we should only have 4 stitches left. So be careful because this can get a little bit tricky here. We've got 1 there, 2, 3, and 4 is somewhat hidden, but it is over here. So let's go ahead and repeat the stitch pattern for both sides twice, so we get 2 more petals. That is our third petal done. Don't worry too much if your magic circle is starting to come a little bit loose. That is all part of it and it is fine. So let's go on and do our final petal. Now we've finished crocheting our 4 petals, all we're going to do is slip stitch to our first single crochet that we did at the very beginning. So we'll just slip stitch there, and now we will cut our yarn here and just do a little fasten off. So pull through, pull on that tight to create the little knot. Okay, so now is the fun part where we have to sew in all our ends. So let's first tighten up the center of our flower and pull on that starting bit of yarn. So there we go, that's it there. And now all you're going to do is use a tapestry needle to sew in your ends. So I'll go on and do that now. So once you've weaved in your yarn tails, you can chop those off close to where you've sewn them into. However, you could also leave them on if you wanted to use them to tie the flower onto something. So keep that in mind. It really just depends what you're going to use your little flower for as to whether you want to have a yarn tail there or whether you want to hide them. So there you have it. That is the poppy. Now, I realize I didn't put my stitch marker in at the beginning, but the reason I recommend a stitch marker is to stick it into your first single crochet that you crochet into the poppy. The reason I don't close the magic circle with a slip stitch before we attach the red yarn is simply because when you close it, you're actually creating an extra bit of black that is visible, and not using a slip stitch helps cover that up a little bit, so it does just look like the tiny little center of a flower. So that brings us to the end of this poppy crochet tutorial. I hope you've been able to follow along and create your own little poppy or flower. If you have, please do share your makes on social media with me. I'd really love to see them. Simply post a photo and tag me at Cilla Crochets on whatever social media platform it is that you use. If you have enjoyed this video, you'd do me a huge favor if you can hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and of course, turn the bell on if you would like to get notified whenever any new videos are released. Until next time, happy crocheting!